So this is kind of a snazzy little studio that we're in right now.
I'm impressed. I am.
I mean, especially for just a little free studio that you can use at your local library. I had to figure out the mic a little bit, but
this is a brand new mic.
It's a fancy. I like this mic. I have to look into grabbing me one of these. Fortunately, we figured out that you have to have it on the omnidirectional setting to record everything properly, because the whole point of having a studio is to not get the echo sound in the background.
That is true, and it's a good thing we had plenty of time to figure that out.
Thankfully. Okay, let's get this thing started.
Crosstalk, the unintentional transfer of signals between communication channels, a casual conversation.
Hello world, this is Videogame Crosstalk, episode 039, the monthly podcast of gamers talking tech, science, and whatever else comes to mind. I'm your host, Anthony Rossi, and with me this episode is host of the podcast, Stories from a Bar, Chris Osborne.
Yay! That's me. That's me.
It's been a while since I've had you on.
It has. I'm excited because when I am the guest on other people's podcasts, I don't have to worry about editing.
You know, isn't it great?
It's the level of, feels like a weight's lifted off the shoulders.
Like, you're basically just here to hang out.
I am.
Like, you're...
No booze, because we're at a public library, but, you know.
So that's kind of a switch up for you, for the most part. I mean, you have a...
I've got water.
Okay.
It's not vodka.
Not just water, not vodka. Kind of a switch up for you.
Yes.
Departure from your norm, but hey, it happens.
It's probably good to give the liver a break. Yeah.
Give you some breathing room.
Yeah.
Give some breathing room and recover and swing it again. Oh, man. So we are actually at a local library right now, and I found out while trying to find like a separate studio to do some live recording in, that the Bethlehem Public Library in upstate New York actually has a makerspace. And this makerspace has a podcast studio and like a public access TV studio thing.
It definitely looks like it's, typical public access type little setting.
Yeah, I'm going to take some pictures while we're here, because this will make good fodder for a blog post or something.
Not quite the, as we were talking about, not quite the beyond two fern, or between two ferns type setting.
Not quite there.
But there is a single plant.
There is a single plant
between two chairs.
Between two tan chairs, two tan armchairs. This is definitely what you would imagine public access to be, with a nice blue curtain in the background.
You know, if you did a video series, you can call it The Plant Between Us.
Ooh. I think you might be on to something.
Do a little video component?
Yeah. I mean, they got the video camera set up over there. I see a mic, some actual stage lighting. That's intense.
That's good. I always like video evidence of my sweating.
Yeah, right? Have you ever been on stage?
Oh, man. Not,
Because I have.
In
various capacities.
Well, outside of, like, school or work or something like that, no.
Okay. So, I did the school musical a few times. Yes, I did that. Because I am actor. I think the stage loves me and I it.
I was in one in elementary school.
Okay. But between that and my local music gigs when I used to host, I've had a few higher profile gigs that I emceed for the event, and it gets hot on stage.
Oh, yeah.
It gets really hot.
I remember back in school, whenever I had oral reports and things like that, I get such bad anxiety, and...
Oh, anxiety is a whole nother situation.
Like, super warm, so I can just feel my armpits.
Yeah, but like when you're on stage and like the entire theater is dark and you've got the spotlight on you, that thing is nearly a heat cannon of light, and you get blasted from multiple angles because we want to have the actor or the presenter lit up on stage. So you're getting like heat cannons from like 2 or 3 different directions. So there's no shadows behind you. And it's all just heat raining down I do, and yeah, you get sweaty real quick.
Really sounding quite unappealing.
But it's showbiz. So, it's been a while since I've put out an episode.
You've been a busy guy.
I've had some life changes come through. Yeah. And apparently I like to do all my life changes at the same time. So
you do seem to go in spurts.
It's kind of crazy. I mean, I guess it's good to get it all done in one shot, but I'd like to breathe a little bit. So the first thing is I accepted a new position at the office. And if you know me and where I work, it should be obvious reasons why I do not discuss my day job.
Still can't talk about it?
No, still can't talk about it. And it's my day job. It's separate from the podcast. I keep those two lives separate, but it's definitely a step up for me. So I'm really happy, but it's a lot. So it's in a completely different department, doing completely different things. Really excited, but it's a stress. It's a big shift in what's going on. And the other little big life event is
it was tiny.
He is tiny. He is a little guy. His name is Lucas.
Baby Finrod, as we call him at the office. Get it right.
Okay, so Baby Finrod has been welcomed into the world.
Yeah.
Or as I call him, Lucas. But that's his unofficial name, apparently.
Yeah, Lucas is unofficial. Got it.
Brought him into the world and all the joy that comes with bringing new life, the wonderful blessing that is an infant that cries, sleeps, and poops at all times. And not necessarily in that order, and not all separately. Sometimes these things happen all at the same time.
Doesn't even have to be awake.
No, he really doesn't. That happened about an hour or so ago. He's just kind of sleeping in his little swing rocker thing, and you just hear like a rumble coming from his gut. And Jacob is now 3 years old at this point, and he turned around. I was making a puzzle with him on the floor. Jacob stands up. He pooped. Yes, Jacob, he definitely pooped.
How has Jacob adjusted to
Jacob loves his little brother. It is kind of adorable.
That's cool.
He's like, Jacob, do you love your little brother? I love Lucas. Oh, it's so sweet. We'll see how long that lasts.
You got to tell him he's not saying Finrod right.
I think it's pronounced Finrod.
That's how I read it.
We'll see how that goes. But Finrod is now 1 month old. Things are kind of settling down, and I'm telling you, the whole second child tropes and cliches about how you just like care so much less about certain things.
The stereotypes are true.
Oh, they are so true. And I gotta tell you, our sleeping is so much better this time around than with Jacob. With Jacob, we had the foolish notion that we might be able to get some hours of sleep at the same time. Oh, it tore us apart. It was rough. What we're doing now is, we were just taking 2 to 3 hour shifts with him. Mm-hmm. So overnight, one of us would be awake with Finrod, and we would just...
I can't wait for you to get back to your wife and start calling the baby Finrod and not even realize it.
Hey, Finrod, come here, bud.
It's a little Finny.
So we were taking like 2 hour shifts with him, and it worked. Still tired in the morning, but it worked. We did our thing. But now what we've figured out is we have the bassinet in the bedroom, and I'm sleeping in the bed. And I know this sounds terrible. Stephanie is sleeping on the couch. However, there's a reason for this.
There better be.
There's a reason for this. First off, it was her idea. Second,
okay.
When you put the infant down in the bassinet, they can like either sense or smell their mother.
Really?
Yeah, definitely can he knows when mommy is close.
Interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. So if Stephanie was in the bed with us, or in the bed and Finrod was in the bassinet, I'm going to try really hard to keep the Finrod going. So Finrod's in the bassinet. He would know that Stephanie is close and want to nurse.
Interesting.
So I'm in the bedroom. Finrod's in the bassinet, and Stephanie's on the couch. Since Stephanie is far enough away, he doesn't feel the need to nurse, so he actually sleeps.
Sleeps more.
Yes.
It's a nice trick to know.
It is a very nice trick to know for whoever wants to experiment with that. Go, take it, do it. Because, I mean, it's working so much better. I mean, I feel bad because Stephanie's up at night, nursing every 2 to 3, infancy to feed every 2 to 3 hours.
Yep.
It's terrible. But we've been able to get fairly good nights of sleep now. And way better than just the chaos, it was terrible. It was I've never been so utterly exhausted as we were with our first child. It was painful. I don't know how much it showed at the office.
I can imagine.
But
well, it's not like the bar was ever set very high for you. So.
No, not really.
It's the key. Keep the bar low. Mm-hmm. This way,
can't disappoint.
Yeah. It's easy to achieve your goals. They're very small.
So what have you been up to?
Oh, man. Mostly work. My girlfriend and I are in the middle of moving.
No, that's fun.
So it's been a little hectic the last 2 weeks. It's unexpected. We ran into some issues where we were, and we pretty much want to leave. So we're just trying to get out. And so there's boxes everywhere, but it's at the point where I can pack some stuff, and now I'm just kind of waiting.
Okay.
Because we're not moving we got another week, and so next weekend.
Okay, so I was going to ask, when is your lease up?
We're just moving across town next weekend, but I've got some stuff packed, and then empty boxes everywhere. And can't really pack much else, because I don't know what I'm going to need.
Yeah, and for a full week, you're going to need a good amount of stuff.
Sitting around, and the dog's walking around, sniffing and licking the boxes for some reason.
Because that's what dogs do.
Not helping your brain cells.
No, not really. But
she is adorable. So that's pretty much that in work for the next week or two.
The last couple of times I moved, between apartments and into our house, the last night or two, I lived on absolute fumes. It was basically whatever I need, I'm just going to leave out. But that's just underclothes, a new t-shirt, and that's about it, because I definitely did take out the last night or two before I moved.
Yep.
Last couple of times. So I'm doing no dishes. I'm cooking nothing inside the apartment, and we're just going to order Chinese the last 2 nights. And it just, everything goes in the garbage. Plastic forks, the utensils, the container, everything that's in the garbage, and dishes are done.
Kind of surprised by how much crap I've thrown out already.
Oh, isn't it great?
It is. Feels good. Really good.
Yeah, I went through garbage bags of stuff when I moved out of my apartment. Just garbage bags of stuff. And it's not like I got any more room in my apartment when I was purging like that, but it definitely felt less cluttered.
Yeah.
I can breathe now.
It just feels cleaner.
Yeah, somehow. Well, yeah, because you get real. Anyway, so what you been playing recently?
Funny you mentioned that. I knew you were going to mention it. But
well, given the Videogame Crosstalk, and
shocker, really caught me off guard with that one. But right now I'm kind of knee-deep in Final Fantasy X, which I've never played before.
Okay.
And I've had the remastered version of that and 10-2 on my shelf probably for a couple years.
Okay.
And I've just never gotten around to it. So I finally fired that up, and I'm not that far into it, probably about 10 hours worth. Mm-hmm. I'm getting more and more into it. I hate Blitzball. Hate it.
All the mini games that Final Fantasy puts into their games.
It was more intricate to try to learn how to play the one Blitzball game I have to play inside of the actual game than it is to learn how to play the actual game. Yeah. That turns me off.
Yeah, it was some Tetra card game. Tetris something or other.
Yeah.
And one of the other Final Fantasies.
But there's a lot of great games that have really built-in intricate little stuff like that. Like The Witcher 3. Great game. I did not play Gwent.
Yeah,
the
right.
card game inside of the game.
Yeah.
Don't care. I'm not going to take time to learn this.
I want to play the RPG. If I want to play a collectible card game, I'd play the collectible card game.
I'd go buy a deck of cards.
Yeah, right.
I'd find another nerd.
I'd go get, Magic the Island cards. I'd go get Netrunner cards. I'd go get whatever else. But no, I want to play an epic RPG. Yeah. I want to travel around town. I want to slay a bunch of demons. I don't want to
Got to keep an eye on the audio recording.
Yeah, so we've been talking.
Whole different setup.
Going pretty good, but all of a sudden the screen went blank on me. I'm like, oh, got to make sure this thing is still recording.
Yeah.
It is. Okay, so we're good. Cool.
Yeah, but it's funny. It's just I haven't gotten around to playing it in a long time. I always have some kind of backlog. And I whittled it down finally.
The gamer's curse.
Yeah, started playing this, and then I saw that the game Sekiro was on sale for like $30. Like, okay. I've been wanting to play it, and I try not to pay full price most of the time. I think
right now, Neo, I think, is one of the PS Plus games.
Tried it, don't want it.
Okay, there we go.
I tried playing it.
Okay.
You have to repeat everything. You kill every time you die. You can't pause. Like,
okay, right. So this is the one that's the Dark Souls-esque game where
I did not enjoy it.
Thoroughly brutal. Got to memorize and be precise with all your attacks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then when you die, you get to kill everyone you just killed again.
No, fabulous.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I've written a blog post or two about how I love playing games right now on like give me a story difficulty. Like whatever's below easy, give me that. Because I just don't have the time. Right now, I thought I'd be able to squeak in a few hours here and there of late night gaming with Finrod while he was awake in the middle of the night or something. But what I've run into is that if I'm not pacing around the house, at least this is the way it was while I was still staying up with him. If I wasn't carrying him around and pacing around the house, he'd get upset and start whining again. So you had to like constantly cradle him, constantly just hold him and like pace around the house so he can feel the movement. I mean, there's been several times I did this with Jacob. I'm doing it now with Finrod. This is going to be bad if I like relearn his name like this, but we'll see what happens.
I'm really pulling for it. Fingers crossed.
That I've gone on 11 o'clock p.m., 2 a.m. walks around the neighborhood.
Oh, yeah. I believe it.
Bundle up. Drop him. He's screaming the entire time, which is why I'm trying to get him out of the house. So I had him for a walk for a good 2 hours between the hours of 2 and 4 a.m. And it was entertaining to see everyone coming home from the bars because I think it was on like a Friday or Saturday night too.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so people just kind of... I remember those days.
Yep.
Some of those nights I remember fondly. Some of them,
Oh, and I've been meaning to get the Untitled Goose Game, which I think I will do.
Oh, jeez.
Tonight or tomorrow. I want to play it. I want to play it real bad.
Oh, I saw a few memes when that thing was released, and it was kind of like the dialogue of certain AAA developers. Like, people want a 100-hour game with deep storyline, intricate mechanics.
Don't need it.
And then gamers are like, I'm a goose, honk, honk.
Well, you know what the best part of the little trailer they had was... sneaking up on like a little kid, tying his shoes together. The kid notices it, or bends down to like untie his shoes, and he set his toy down. The goose grabs the toy, runs away. Kid sees it, tries to chase the goose, but his shoes are still tied.
Right,
falls on his face, glasses go flying. Goose drops toy, takes glasses, runs the other way. How can you not want to play a game like that?
I'm kind of intrigued. I don't know if I'll get around to it, but... I've actually, so in the whole light of having to constantly cradle an infant in order for him to stay asleep, I did download Chrono Trigger onto my phone.
Nice.
So I'll cradle him, and I just turn my phone.
I only need one hand.
Well, I have both hands going. I have them like cradled. I'm pantomiming right now, so I have them cradled like in my forearms, and I'm holding the phone in my hands.
What about a baby Bjorn?
You know what? It's easier just to have him lay down.
Okay.
He's a side sleeper.
Really?
Yeah,
okay.
He prefers to sleep on his side.
Well,
okay.
Good for him.
Yeah, you do you, little homie. And I turned the brightness down on my phone all the way so it's as dim as possible. Turn the sound down all the way so, again, it's as low as possible.
Don't want to wake a sleeping Finrod.
No, that's bad times right there. That's bad times for everyone. And, yeah, reliving some old school... Golden Age RPG action. It's been good. So, I got you here, and I've had you on once, at least once.
Yeah, we did an E3 wrap-up or summary.
Yeah.
That was past one, the one but year before that.
Yeah. But since then, you've got your own podcast going on.
I do. Did
you have your podcast at that time?
We did when we did the dad jokes.
That's right. That was
Father's
the
Day,
two-parter.
baby.
Yes. Oh, that was great.
That was fun. Nothing but drinking and dad jokes.
Yeah, drinking and dad jokes. Over at Fort Orange Brewery. That was good stuff. So, the podcast is still going. It's called Stories from a Bar.
Indeed it is.
So, how did you get into this?
Well, obviously, but for people that don't.
Right.
Podcasting, it was weird. Not ever something I thought of, really, outside of listening to one occasionally. Started helping you out when Master Jacob came along with some social media stuff for your podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Went to a couple cons with you, met a couple other podcasters, started getting the idea in my head, this could be fun to do, something like this on my own.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, what am I into? I'm like, I can't do another one about video games and tech and stuff like that. Like, I love drinking. Well, I say that jokingly. It's something I've always enjoyed since I've been 21, obviously.
Obviously.
Of course.
Obviously.
It's just like kind of going around town, checking out all the places, drinking establishments out there, and not even out just going to get hammered or anything like that. But I always like trying new beers and, striking up with conversations when you're feeling good after a drink or two with strangers, learning about them. So that was kind of the inspiration and kind of what I go for, just kind of a relaxed, hanging out type vibe. And I've met some awesome people, mainly the brewers for the breweries that I hang out with. All super cool guys, and it's nice to learn about kind of behind the scenes instead of just drinking the beer. And
so the concept of the podcast is, like, quite literally, the name is Stories from a Bar, and the concept is...
have some drinks.
Stories at a bar. Yeah. That's basically the idea.
I try to keep it at a bar most times, but it doesn't always work out that way.
Hey, that happens.
But the beer is the constant, really. As long as there's something to drink. Like, the bar is where you make it, is the way I look at it.
So alcohol has been consumed during the recording of every episode so far?
I think except for the one I did at Indian Ladder Farms, I had a normal cider because it was like 10 in the morning and I went to the Metallica concert the night before.
Okay.
Wasn't really in the mood for
more
booze that early after that.
Or were you?
I had to drive.
Okay.
I had to drive.
Okay.
So that was kind of like the main idea when I first started it. It's kind of morphed into more of kind of whatever the heck I want it to be.
You've had some specialty episodes. I have not listened to your most recent specialty episode.
You will enjoy that. I call it the first episode in a special series I'm calling the Statesman series.
Okay, let's go into this. The Statesman series.
Kind of inspired by those Florida man memes that people see on the internet all the time and enjoy and laugh because people in Florida, it's not portrayed the best in the most positive light.
Not really. Got a little bit of shenanigans going on down there.
Indeed. So if you just Google Florida man, like a lot of people were doing, getting some great headlines, things like that. And I thought, I'm going to start doing this for other states just to see what else comes up. And it was surprisingly easy to find some good headlines for a lot of states. I was generally concerned for humanity most days. Mm-hmm. And then I started doing that, and I wondered if I wasn't concerned enough.
How so? What were you finding?
Well, for anyone that hasn't heard it yet, the first episode I did was Michigan Man Stories.
Okay.
And I'll just put this out there now. It's an explicit series of episodes, and it will be.
And it will be explicit. Okay.
But
so heads up on that.
Trying to keep this somewhat family-friendly for yours, there was one instance where a middle-aged man had to move home after a divorce, had a smut collection valued at about $29,000.
Wow.
Yeah. That's a lot of smut.
That's a collection. That is a dedicated fan to the arts.
If you want to call it a collection, yeah. And then moved back with his parents for a few months, moved back out, and before his parents brought him all his stuff, I guess the father or the parents threw out the smut collection. So now he was suing his parents for like $86,000.
Okay, that's a little ridiculous.
Yeah, I assume emotional distress.
So, like, I empathize.
So it was Michigan man sues his parents for throwing out his porn collection. Yeah. It was kind of the headline.
So, like, I empathize to the point of the dollar value. Like, despite what your conceptions or perceptions would be about pornography.
Yep.
All right. this is a $29,000 like.
It's a lot of money to have spent on porn.
It is a lot of money to be spent on porn, but just like the sheer dollar amount, I feel that like there's definitely issues going on.
Oh yeah,
but that's like where I would empathize, where it's like this is a significant like financial investment that was just discarded.
Oh yeah,
that's a lot. But so from here on out, you're going to do just whatever, like state man. Right?
And like I said, I'll just Google a random state and use the word man after it and kind of build up stories for different states and things like that.
Right. So there are plans for me to come on. We're going to do
a Wisconsin man episode at some point.
Right, we'll do Wisconsin man. We were going to start with New York man. However, what were the issues that we found with New York man?
Most of the New York man stories generally involve murder or drugs. And I kind of like to keep it lighthearted. I guess stereotypes, exist for a reason.
Yeah. Welcome to New York.
Found another body in the river today. Okay.
All right.
You can really only make so many jokes. And just death in general.
Yeah.
Isn't that humorous?
Is it a funny death at least? No, it's just another homicide.
No, probably just another mob hit. Jeez. But yeah, I'm going to kind of mix that series in. Plus, it helps keep the podcast interesting for me. It gives me a chance to put out more content, a little variety to, keep things spiced up. I really enjoy, like I said, going to like the local businesses and not even just drinking establishments. I don't want to limit who I talk to. Yeah,
because you've been going to a lot of specifically breweries and bars.
The goal is generally to try to record at a brewery or bar, and then just bring in whatever kind of guest I think would be interesting or cool to hang out with and have some good stories. But and the interesting thing is, I put out 20 episodes now.
Okay.
So I'm getting to a point where a couple people have actually reached out to me to be on the podcast and asked if I wanted to come in and record.
That is fantastic.
And it's not even really something I thought of when I started doing it.
Yeah, right?
I mean, I'm not going to lie, I had the idea, hey, maybe I'll get a free beer here or there out of this too. It's kind of cool to be in a position where I've built it up at least a little enough to the point where maybe I can help some of these local businesses kind of promote their business as well.
Yeah.
It's a fun hobby for me. I learn about places I like around town. And it's kind of like a win-win, so it's really cool.
That's kind of a goal that I have with this podcast as well, because I'm trying to bring in some of the goals for this podcast. One of them is breaking down the stigma of the lone white male in his parents' basement playing video games.
Yep.
Like, that's clearly so antiquated at this point, so utterly antiquated. So I'm bringing in, like, business professionals, technology professionals who are also gamers to talk about what they do. But what I'm trying to push now is exactly what you were talking about with promoting a local business, in that there's a lot of stuff going on in the capital region. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But if I can bring on local business owners or people who have some type of endeavor that they're trying to promote in the area, and they're also a dork like I am, like the podcast, given its conversational nature, you can get so much more information out and different types of information out.
And it's funny you say that. I was going to say, I did an episode at Artisanal Brew Works up in Saratoga.
Okay.
Hanging out with Kurt, one of the owners there. Mm-hmm. And even he said what was so appealing about the type of format where you're just kind of sitting down and hanging out and chatting is it's not just the snippet from like a news article or a quick review that maybe you'll get your quote in there or not. Mm-hmm. You have a chance to really expand upon what you want to say about your business.
Exactly.
It gives, the person you're talking to the opportunity to really go into stuff.
I mean, for example, when I did my 2-part esports segment, when the Hudson Valley GamerCon was coming on, I talked to the guys at Gaming Insomniacs, and I was able to talk to Kieran Nenzer, who was running the convention, the esports tournament. And I mean, the guys at Gaming Insomniacs, they were on the local news stations to promote them and some of the things that they were doing. But if you get 2 minutes on like a local newscast, that's a huge chunk of time.
That is a lot of time.
2 minutes is massive. I talk with them for like 45 minutes. Yep. And where are you going to get more information?
Yeah.
I granted, 30 to 45 minutes talking about like one thing is a lot of time. And not many people are going to be able to like stomach that length of a conversation. But as far as
I mean, you got to really want to know about what they're talking about.
Yeah, you're going to want to know about them specifically to go into a deep dive like that. But that gives certain business owners and certain people that amount of time to talk for that length. And they're going to talk for that length. I mean, this is their passion, right? Like, hey, I hear you started your own esports biz in one of the urban co-works in downtown Schenectady. Want to talk about it? Blah, 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 blah. And it was great.
And it's great when I have people on that just take the conversation, because then I can just sit there and sip my beer.
Oh, isn't it great? So, some of the interviews that I've had on this show and some of the people I've talked to at different cons, some people are more open with sharing than others.
Yep.
And sometimes you have to get creative with your editing.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so great where you ask just a simple question and they just take it and go. And you're just like, cool, I'm going to hang back.
All right.
You do you. You
got
do
a
you.
drink. I'm just going to sit here
Oh,
and
yeah,
sip.
with you. Yeah. Just go.
I always try to have a drink.
Oh, man.
So when I go drinking now, I call it research.
Isn't it great? That's got to be fun.
In the long term, if I end up with any liver issues, I'm going to blame you.
You're welcome. But yeah, so you enjoy coming to some of these cons?
Yeah, the cons are always fun. The costumes are always amazing. It's really impressive.
We've seen some amazing ones.
It was the Predator one, right, that we saw?
Alien. Yes.
With the almost looked like it was a stray movie prop.
Yeah.
They have a guy behind him to help carry the tail and everything.
Right. So if your cosplay is at the point where you need some buddies to hang out to like watch your like 8-foot tail behind you, like if you need assistance walking through the convention hall, you've got a massive cosplay.
Yeah.
There's another dude, I think I forget his name, Rosia, had a massive Warhammer 40K cosplay. It's just like massive dude. And some of the cosplays are absolutely amazing. I was actually able to have Ray Umerleon from Forceworks. I'm sure you saw those. Yeah. He has done some great stuff.
Follow Forceworks on Instagram, the Instagram account. It's impressive the stuff that
he's been putting together. Yeah. Oh, recently. So we're recording this just after Halloween, and he posted a few things where it's the caption was, "It's Halloween, but you still need to maintain an executive presence," because he's a CIO.
Yeah.
So he's in the office. He needs to maintain an executive presence, which I am happy that I received a promotion. I don't know how high in the company I wish to go. I don't know how high in any company I wish to go, because I don't know if I really want to deal with the politics and the administrative headaches that come along with rank. But, doesn't matter how casual most offices are, especially here on the East Coast, you're going to have to maintain the executive presence where you need to put on your suit and tie. But he's a huge nerd. So he did like this Men in Black thing, and he posted later he had like the big alien head on.
There you go.
It was great. Yeah, good times to be had at the bar.
Yeah, man. I'm enjoying it. Like I said, I'm going to keep it going. It's kind of overall now just a mix of my interests.
But
it's all about just kind of hanging out with someone, having some beers and talking about it. Sharing some fun stories.
And isn't that how like conversations at a bar actually go? Like you have no idea what
essentially that's the vibe I'm going for, whether I'm actually sitting at a bar or hanging out somewhere else. But yeah,
nice. Okay, so we're going to get into some of the headlines now, and I got them pulled up here. First headline. It looks like we're heading into the new generation of consoles.
Oh, man, I can't wait.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, like, hey, how do you feel about this? So the headline we got, this was actually from the Wall Street Journal, the one that I'm going to post, and that Sony says the next PlayStation is coming next year.
Yeah, they only, obviously, everyone knew it was coming at some point.
Yeah, I think everyone kind of assumed.
Yeah, but they didn't really officially announce it until maybe like a month ago, technically. With still no official release date. I'm guessing probably November of next year.
Thinking holiday season?
I mean, I think they said holiday.
Okay. Yeah, they said holiday.
Yeah. Actually, did you see this week they already trademarked PlayStation
Oh, did they go like
what is
up
it,
to 8 or something like
6
that?
through 10 or something
Did
like
they go
that?
that high? Yeah.
I'm not going to live long enough to see those.
I mean, maybe. I don't know.
Not the way I'm living.
Not if this podcast takes off.
We'll see. I get paid to drink.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I remember where you're starting this off and you're like, I will consider myself made it if I get a free beer. And then one of the bars or breweries you went to, you get your first free beer. And you're like, did it.
All right.
Good.
It's like I said, keep those goals small. Feel good about yourself.
That's right. But I don't know. And I said this about the current generation. Like, how much farther can we go as far as processing power?
That is, have you seen the leaked video? And I use the leaked in quotation marks.
Right, we got the
who
air
knows
quotes
if,
going on right now.
You know, it was meant to be leaked or not. The side-by-side comparison of the PS5, what will be the PS5 version against the PS4 Pro, and them trying to load the same level of Spider-Man.
No, I didn't see this.
You didn't see this?
No.
So the PS4 Pro version loaded the Spider-Man level in about 9 seconds, a little less than 10.
Okay.
Which
is quick.
Yeah, it's
Which
quick.
is quick,
It's
yeah.
quick. The PS5 version, just under a second.
Jeez. Hey, you know what? I won't complain.
I mean, yeah, you make a good point. What else can you realistically expect them to improve on these days? Maybe other than loading times?
Yeah.
I think at this point, graphically, I can't tell a difference.
Well, and this was my complaint. Well, I don't know if it's complaint, but commentary, like moving into 4K. My eyes are shot. Like, I have to wear glasses to play games right now because we need to get a bigger TV in our.
And how much money would I need to be able to afford a TV where I would be able to tell it?
Yeah, that's where we're
this
getting
point,
at. Like, my eyes suck, so I need to wear glasses depending on how far away, and especially with the size of the font that are on in games right now, because everyone's assuming 50+ inch screen, and depending on how far away you're sitting, yeah, there's a difference between the 4K and the 1080. Yeah, there's a difference. It's beautiful.
Soon to be 8K.
But as we were just saying, how the Untitled Goose Game, you know, that's all cell shading, right? It's all illustrative.
It is, and it's like back to my argument, the constant Xbox PlayStation argument. Mm-hmm. At this point, I could care less about the system. I just want a string of good games to play.
That's basically what it comes down to.
And
graphical quality does not equal superior gameplay experience.
Indifferent at this point. I mean, we're far enough along that there's not going to be hardly any difference between the two systems.
Oh yeah, between the two systems, not at all. And you know, there's talk of the Xbox Scarlet coming out eventually. Yep. Okay, so that's whatever the next Xbox is going to be. Awesome. But okay, so we get up to 4K now. I mean, how much more detail is really adding value to the gameplay experience?
I noticed in the articles I read, other than where'd you get this one? The Wall Street?
Yeah.
It's a good article, and of course there's a whole bunch of articles about what Sony has planned. I noticed a lot of detail and attention paid to a new controller, and it being even more sensitive.
Yes, the haptic feedback on a lot of it.
Like, you'll be able to tell the difference in the rumbling between walking through tall blades of
Tall blades?
Yeah.
It's badass.
Okay. As opposed to running a race car into a wall.
Okay.
More sensitivity in the trigger handles. Okay. That seems to be
the immersion aspect of it all. Because I don't know if I've really noticed it in my PlayStation controller, but when I was still gaming on Xbox, they definitely had two different, I guess I'll call them rumble packs for lack of a better term, inside the controller. One was a larger, heavier one, and there was a smaller, lighter one for like different types of impacts and rumbling. So like if you're driving a car over grass, you know, the large one would just kind of go rumble, 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 rumble. Where if it's a trigger pull on a firearm, the smaller one would give you like the sharp like bang type of feedback.
Yep.
And so it looks like they're pushing farther into that direction. But yeah, I'm going to be the old man here, and it's like, okay, so 4K TVs are dirt cheap. At this point. They're only a few $100, like $200-$300 for a 4K TV at this point, of a good size. So great. I haven't purchased one yet because I still only have the base model of the PlayStation 4. So
I have the PS4 Pro and I still don't have a 4K TV.
Okay. Well, the option is there for you.
I mean, honestly, the TV I have has a great picture, so it hasn't really bothered me that much to the point where I wanted to spend an extra hundreds of dollars just to, probably minimal impact from the enjoyment I already get.
Well, and again, it goes back to the same thing. So once I got the PlayStation, finally, and I played a handful of games, I did notice where the graphical resolution peaked, and I was able to see some of the 60 frames per second refresh rate.
Yep.
And it was in Devil May Cry and Infamous Second Son. I was able to see it like peak performance.
Yeah.
And it looked buttery smooth. It looked beautiful. I was like, oh, it just jumped up in quality, and wow, this is really... So I noticed that. But that's just the visual aspect of it all. If the storyline is crap, I don't care. If the controls are crap, I don't care. You know what I value more? Voice acting than the visuals. If
no, that's true. That can really take you out.
Yeah. If that can really take you out of the experience. I mean, I appreciate the enhancements of the experience, but if some of the writing is terrible, if the controls and the menus are clunky, if certain systems within the gameplay mechanics are just utterly broken, like that's what I value more, not the level of detail and granularity of the graphics.
Oh yeah, man.
So, sure, we can have the next whatever big AAA title coming through, but are enhanced graphics really going to increase your enjoyment when we have... I mean, Borderlands 3 is like illustrative style. It's straight up comic book style art. It's beautiful. It's very detailed.
Yep.
It ain't realistic.
Nope.
It is definitely some type of so I used to call it cel shading, but I did see a few artists from Gearbox. There was, for whatever reason, there was like a huge rise from the artists where it's like, it's not cel shading. I'm thinking to myself, oh, calm down. But then some of the artists really went into detail for the difference between cel shading and the illustrative style that they're using. I'm like, oh, okay, it legit is not cel shading. Mm-hmm. Okay, my apologies. I'm the ignorant one here. But I try to grow. I try to better myself. I no longer refer to it as such. But they're not going for hyperrealism.
No, and at this point, graphics aren't a selling point for me anymore because they're already beyond what we'd ever thought to begin with.
And we are of an age where graphics really did make a difference back in what you could pump out of a Sega Genesis or Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
Like that made a difference.
But, of course, that being said, as soon as the PS5 is available for pre-order, I will pre-order one.
But I'm not saying I'm not. I'm not saying I'm not going to get a PS5 as soon as I can.
And the only problem I'm going to have is it's PlayStation 4 compatible, which is great.
Yes.
To play the PS4 games. But I love my PS4 Pro because it's the glacier white one. Like, what am I going to do? And I will have no need for it whatsoever.
No, you won't.
And when I pre-order the PS5, I'm not going to trade it in 6 months ahead of time and wait.
Yeah, right.
Just for the credit. So I'm probably going to end up just charging the PS5 and then trading in my PS4 for credit.
You have to
get all my games and equipment.
Yeah, right. So take a look at what they're offering. See if you can just do the whole down payment thing. Yeah. Or if you have to pay for it outright in the beginning. Because maybe see if you could swing where you pay half of it and then bring your PS4 with you. And here you go to finish off the pre-order.
Yeah, I'll have to look into it. But I'm pumped up, man.
Nice.
And I don't have a PSVR, but it did say that was compatible with the PS5.
Oh, it's got to be. Yeah. I mean, if the PS4 Pro's got the whole VR thing going on, because you basically need the Pro for that, right?
I want a VR, but at this point, I'd rather wait until the next edition of it comes out.
Right.
Which, again, I don't know what kind of enhancements they plan for that. Hopefully wireless, I would think.
One would hope. We'll see what happens.
Seems pretty cumbersome from what I've heard, wire-wise and controller-wise.
All right, so moving on, we got a couple of trailers. There's been trailers all over the place, but we got two in here that I'd like to speak to. First one I'll do is Star Wars. Save the other one for last.
I'm more excited about the other one.
Yeah, me too. So Star Wars has a new trailer. I mean, it looks great, but to me, it's okay. It's more Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a middle of the road Star Wars fan. Like, yeah, it's all right. I watch it. I have never reached the level of fandom that some diehard Star Wars fans
and there is like
can reach
quite the mass community and fandom.
I mean,
there's no denying that.
No,
but
it's a really interesting just group of fandom to be that into something.
Yeah, I never understood getting like that deep into it.
I mean, it doesn't, of course, relate just to Star Wars, but Star Wars fans are a specific breed. That's like, obviously, nothing will ever live up to their expectations, I don't think.
No.
Whether outside of the original trilogy. I mean, I think, yeah, the first 3 movies were garbage. Sure.
Oh, the prequel?
Yeah.
The prequel that we shall never speak of.
I'm not going to say that, it was the worst thing I've ever seen. Yeah, only...
It's up there.
It's up there. It wasn't good, but it doesn't ruin Star Wars in general for me or something.
No,
like
not
that.
at all.
I kind of, at this point, just watch them so I know what the story was. But the preview for the new one looks really good. Action-packed, and I'm curious to see how they wrap it up.
Yes, that's why I wanted to bring this on here. I'm with you. I enjoy the Star Wars universe. I'll go see the movies. I really enjoyed Rogue One. I enjoyed that more than I thought.
Yeah.
More than I expected to. But what's interesting about this is they're completing the saga.
Yeah.
Their saga comes to an end.
Or so they say. So we'll see.
Yeah, because... I mean, let's be honest.
I mean, there's already some kind of different trilogy planned for something. So.
It's owned by Disney now.
Yeah.
You'd be stupid to stop milking that cash cow.
Oh, and they won't.
You can't. I mean, I will give flack to a bunch of companies for milking the same thing for too long, but it's Star Wars. Like, you can keep that going for a long time.
Oh, yeah, man.
I don't even know if it's even branching off or continuing this saga or doing other spin-offs within the universe type of thing. Another Star Wars story.
They've got The Mandalorian that'll be coming out on the Disney Plus channel
that actually looks really good.
It does look pretty neat.
That looks really good.
It does look pretty interesting.
I'll see if I can throw that trailer into the show notes as well.
Yeah, I have a level of interest in Star Wars that keeps me kind of just interested enough to watch them and moderately enjoy them and see where the story goes. There's not going to be a single aspect of it this sucks. I don't ever want to see ruin Star Wars for me.
Yeah. I try to avoid toxic fandom.
I try not to be that kind of person.
But I'm definitely not going to get that bent out of shape.
No, just like the last season of Game of Thrones.
Well, that's... Oh, jeez. That was tough maintaining my positivity. They were testing me on that.
Could it have been better? Yeah, but I'm not going to let it ruin the series for me.
No. So the other trailer I have on here, and I'll give it a squeal. I'll give it Witcher.
The Witcher, baby. Oh, man.
And it's based off the books.
Which I have not read, but
no,
actually, I'm gonna, as a Christmas gift, I'm going to ask someone to just give me the box set.
I've actually mentioned that to Stephanie, where it's like, I don't know. I know you can get the box set.
Oh, yeah.
When is it coming out? 20 or
Witcher comes out December 20th.
December 20th. Yeah, I was going to say 20. I'm like,
and they just put out the new trailer for it literally 2 days ago.
Right.
And it looks awesome. And
they put out the trailer 2 days ago. I immediately snagged a link to that and threw it into the show notes immediately.
And I think everyone was excited when they first heard the news, and then you got skeptical because how are they going to do it justice? You hear they hired Henry Cavill, who played Superman.
Yeah, and he was so much of a pretty boy.
Yeah,
and
I don't know what to do about that.
That deflated my hype so much. I'm like, who?
Interesting to kind of see the tides turn between excitement. I'm like, I don't know. And then you get a trailer like, this looks badass.
Yeah, and it just kept getting more and more badass with every trailer that they released.
And I think one of the important aspects was Henry Cavill, of course, when they interview him, talking about how much he loved the series. He's played the games, he's read the books.
If you've played the games, and he said in the interviews, I've played Witcher 3 with the DLCs multiple times.
Yeah.
Wow. And I've said this in previous episodes on here. So he clearly knows the source material.
Yeah, and you love to see that kind of dedication from an actor taking on any kind of epic story.
Because you can always do your research.
Yeah.
You can, I am familiar with this series, this fandom, this whatever. I got the part, I'm going to go read the source material real quick so I understand what my influences are. Dude's already read the books.
Yeah, clearly he knew what this was when he auditioned and was all super pumped up about it. So.
And I don't know if they had to do some digital enhancements to his voice, but from like the little bit of Witcher that I have played, like they matched Geralt's voice like surprisingly well.
The only thing, and of course the only thing I've noticed is it doesn't seem like he has the face scar.
True.
In any of the trips, at least not yet.
But and that goes back to like I'm not fully familiar with it. I've played a little bit of The Witcher, so I've said that like I want to complete Witcher 3 before this comes out. Right now, it's not looking like I'm going to be able to do it.
Witcher 3 is the only one I've played, so admittedly, I don't even know where the scar came from, or if there's a story behind it. I assume there is.
But I would assume there is as well. But again, this kind of goes back to the Witcher video games take place after the books. That much I do know from like reading other articles. But I feel that I know enough about the world of Witcher.
The main characters at the very least.
Yeah, you know the main character, you know his different love interests, and I played like the intro chapters of Witcher 3, so I did like the first hunt, and I got to the castle where Geralt needs to play the part of whatever nobility, and he's like just disgusted with every aspect of it. He's like, I have to be nice to you because I'm told to. I fucking hate you, but I'm going to play nice.
And it is kind of funny, the viralness of that bathtub.
Yes, we
picture.
got the bathtub. We got a bathtub.
Just how viral that image went to kind of represent the almost the Witcher series in general.
Because it was so ridiculous. Again, that was from Witcher 3, where the camera just pans up and there's Geralt buck naked in a bathtub.
Feet up with his... Yeah,
just here I am. All right. But, dark, dirty, and gritty.
Looks great.
Yeah.
And I think it's only going to be like 8 episodes, but I'll finish it in a week for sure.
Oh, sure.
Probably.
Oh, sure. But definitely excited for that.
Yeah.
Definitely what I'm going to be watching come December. So, oh, yes. Moving along now, gonna move right into Capital Region Unblocked. I'm so happy that this little segment's taken up.
It is.
I got 2 links in here, and the first one is called Creative Capital Shaping the Region's Economy. And I was fortunate enough to actually go to the screening of this at the WMHT studios. Mm-hmm. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. So it's more than just video games, but first off, it was hosted by Kua Bala, who was the co-founder of Vicarious Visions. Vicarious Visions is a local game studio for us.
Yep.
Has played some major roles and put out some amazing content over the years. That was sold off to Activision, and he and his brother have since opened up Velen Studios. So I haven't heard much of what's coming out of Velen just yet, but they're always posting job postings.
I'm not sure.
So they're doing work. I don't know what they're up to, but they're doing work. And so Gua was the host, and this little hour-long segment on what's happening in the area just kind of relates to the game development and all the supporting art that's around in the area. So you had a chance to watch it, right?
I did. I actually watched the whole thing last night, and it was really intriguing, actually, talking about the concept of the creative economy. Not your typical jobs that would make up an economy in general. I think it was talked about land sales and usual businesses, more common type businesses. That
retail, manufacturing, that's like what you usually think of with economy.
Yeah, and this was more about they love that term, creative economy.
Yeah, they really did. Yeah, they pushed that hard. They pushed that hard.
Because it was about the economy being built around the arts.
Right.
Really growing the area that way. And taking it in a new direction.
And that feeds into the game development in the area as well, because it's all creativity. And the arts tend to feed on itself. It's kind of like a self-replicating, perpetuating. There we go. Yeah. There's the term I'm looking for. It's a very self-perpetuating industry in that the more of an arts community that exists, it attracts more of an arts community, thus making the community larger, thus attracting more, thus making it larger, thus attracting more, and so on and so forth. So it was really cool to see how it's just... I don't want to use the term blossoming because that's way too flowery of a term for me, so to speak. But that's really what's happening. It's definitely blooming. It's definitely like just coming into its own.
It's, I mean, you don't think about all the, and they kind of really focused on freelancers.
Yes, very much so.
Because that, I mean, and that's a huge percentage of that economy, and whatever goes into them not being able to necessarily start a business and just freelancing. Because there's, of course, they brought in Paul Tonko,
of course,
the politician, talking about the kind of incentives for trying to get people to start businesses with the tax breaks. I think health insurance is really probably the biggest hindrance to
absolutely
a lot of the creative types being able to start their business.
Well, I mean, how many artists are out there where art is their side gig?
Yeah. Because
you need health insurance.
Yeah.
And I really wonder if we were ever to get universal health care, what would happen to the art scene? And what would happen to the scene where if you don't need to have a corporate job just to have your health insurance, or you could fully invest in your art and not have to spend 3/4 of whatever income you're bringing in just for your own private health care?
That was actually one of my first thoughts. Like, obviously, without going into the politics of it, just take that out of it, but think of universal healthcare for a moment. You don't have all the super talented people that have that to worry about. What can that do for the economy instead of your typical jobs that are kind of being phased out in a lot of different ways anyway?
And most of your corporate jobs, most of your steady income jobs, there are very few that allow you to flourish creatively.
Yeah.
But that's just the nature of business. Like, you can find creative solutions to the problems that are posed to you. Cool, but it's not pure creativity. It's not artistic creativity. People work in the arts. Like this podcast, for me, is part of a creative outlet for myself.
Yep.
Like, if I didn't have this, I'd be going stir crazy type of thing.
And despite the drinking, my podcast is a bit of a creative outlet as well. It's not, really isn't just an excuse to drink. But
you know.
It helps. And again, it of course focuses on Albany and the surrounding area and the boom within upstate here. Because obviously the overhead to have a business down in New York City is absolutely ridiculous.
It's huge.
And with the schools we have around here, big engineering schools like RPI or Union, really bringing in more attention. And it's cool to see that kind of growth starting to finally happen.
Yeah, definitely. And the other bit for Capital Region Unlocked, we have an esports cafe coming to downtown Troy.
Speaking of growing.
Yeah, lots of stuff going down in Troy. I was able to interview Muse and Lestrala of Queenship Games down at the Tech Valley Game Space in the center of gravity in downtown Troy. I'm in talks with a few other people down in the Troy area, trying to get some episodes going. Hopefully that will come to fruition very soon. But Troy has quite the booming nerd scene.
They really do.
They really do, though. They really do. And this in particular, there's an esports cafe coming to town, as I'm trying to open this link right now.
And as I was just talking about it being so expensive for the overhead of a business in New York City, the guy opening this cafe was originally looking to open his second cafe down towards the city, as it talks about, and then ended up in Troy.
Yeah, first sentence of the article. A New York City-based esports and gaming hotspot is opening a location in downtown Troy.
Yeah.
First sentence of the article. And it goes in a little bit talking about like why we're moving upstate. I mean, all sorts of businesses are moving upstate just because it's expensive down in the city.
It's expensive, and one of the quotes that little topic areas I pulled out of the video was, in Albany and the surrounding area, you can kind of afford to fail.
Okay.
More so than you can in a big city.
Yes. Yeah, if you fail in a big city, you're falling far.
Yeah.
It's going to be rough for a bit.
And we're not that far from New York City to begin with. Just under 3 hours of a train ride. So it's easy to get back and forth.
So, found another bit in the article. Finally found what I was looking for. Gigante said he originally planned on opening his second location somewhere else in New York City or in the tri-state area. That changed, he said, after he visited Troy and learned about the area's growing video game industry. Velen Studios and Vicarious Visions, again, like I just mentioned, are some of the studios operating in the capital region. There's a few other gaming studios. We have WB Games in Troy,
Yeah.
as well as up in Saratoga. It was Mad Glory, and it was purchased by PUBG a few years back.
Yep.
And the Tech Valley game space in the Troy, again, Troy is where the game development is happening.
It is.
In the capital region. So,
And it's just amazing to see these kinds of places, like these esports cafes popping up.
oh, by the way, this is going to be called Waypoint Cafe.
There you go.
So
I mean,
that's where you're going.
Yeah.
Boom, boom. Yeah, there it is.
Lost my train of thought. It's cool to see places like this pop up now. I mean, I've never been into esports myself or the kind of games that it's built around.
Right.
I'm more of a single player type guy.
Likewise.
But it's great to see communities like this and places pop up that support the gaming community. I mean, even if you're not into those games, just go hang out with other gamers and things like that. It's a complete 180 from like when we were growing up in the Nintendo and Atari days or something like that. We've kind of seen like the change from hide in your basement, you're a nerd, to your parents are ashamed that you play video games, to now.
Like, that's the point of this cafe.
Yeah, it's one of the most social things out there you could possibly do almost.
Right. It's still weird for me. I mean, I've gotten used to it over the past couple of years because I've gone through like born-again geek, if you want to call it that. But for a while, it was really awkward for me to see people walking down the street in a Super Mario Brothers t-shirt like it's the hottest thing.
Yeah, man.
Like, yeah, I'm making a statement right now. I'm stepping out and I got my Nintendo t-shirt on.
And then you wonder if they're a poser because they're not really a nerd.
Yeah, right? Like, I don't want to be the gatekeeper. That was hysterical. At one of the Empire State Cons, the first one I went to, and I had a booth. I'm talking to one of the con goers, and he said something to the effect, like he didn't believe I was a huge gamer. He's like, you don't look like one of the nerds, but you look like one of the cool kids. And I just stood there for a moment, like, did I just get called out for being a fake geek guy?
Yeah.
Did I just get called out?
It's a complete 180 from the culture there used
So
to be.
let me tell you something. I've been level grinding in Final Fantasy longer than you've been alive, okay?
I was doing that last night.
I was going back to that last night as well, the Chrono Trigger. So, very cool to see.
But yeah, it's great to be in a... I don't know if up and coming is really the term to use anymore, because I mean, it's blown up already, but it's just still going. It's cool to be around.
That's kind of the theme that I've been talking about in my past few episodes, where like it's not up and coming anymore.
No,
but
not just tech wise, craft breweries and distilleries and things like that too.
Yeah, like they're here. Yeah. We're here. The only people who don't know that we're here are the people who insist on assuming that it's still.
There's nowhere to be if you don't want to be in New York. That mentality is still out there.
Oh yeah,
the city.
So awesome. All right, moving on to the final segment of this, we got some questions coming up, and I was able to get. Hold on, I have to look it up on my phone. There it is. Okay.
All right. I saw this question. This one's all you.
It's not a problem. No, I'll take this question. So this is coming from Friendly Neighborhood Dave Mann from Insane Games up north. And his question is, do you think Obsidian Entertainment should make a new Fallout game to give an ailing brand some help? So...
See, I haven't played any Fallout games.
Oh, you haven't?
No,
okay,
still haven't.
Well, you played Skyrim.
Yes, I did.
All right.
And I remember asking you about Skyrim.
That ill-fated day.
Like, hey, Anthony, have you ever played Skyrim? And you're like, clear your schedule. Let me tell you something.
Just go into your calendar. This was at the office.
Yeah.
You had learned that I was a gamer. Like, so this is like when I was still relatively new. And you're like, hey, Anthony, ever play Skyrim? Like,
it's like you just stopped working on whatever you were and you're like, sit down.
Let the games begin. So, I don't think Obsidian worked on Skyrim, but Obsidian worked on a few games for Bethesda.
Okay, yeah.
And
I know the name.
Yeah,
I just don't know what they worked on.
And basically, Obsidian made the best Elder Scrolls games and Fallout games that Bethesda released. And then Bethesda released Fallout 4, which was okay. It was good. It was definitely more Fallout, and so it had its little quirks here and there, but, I mean, it was still a great Fallout game. And then they released 76.
Speaking of, not to go off topic quite that much quickly,
Okay.
Speaking of Fallout 76, did you see the article maybe a week or two ago where they were putting a price plan in place for like $100 and you can just play by yourself in your own world?
I was going to bring that up. So, like,
Oh, all right.
yeah, it's called Fallout First, and they're making a subscription service for your own
To be alone.
Yeah, to be like this game, it had a botched launch. I'm still pissed on behalf of the other people who did like the collector's edition pre-order, where they were supposed to get a canvas bag to go along as part, like a canvas tote or whatever it was.
Yep.
They ended up getting a nylon tote. Or
I knew there was
backpack.
some
Yeah.
hullabaloo or
Yeah, so like lower quality, clearly lower quality. But the salt in the wound was that the canvas bags existed, but they were given to the YouTubers and Twitch streamers.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's bad for business.
That's real bad. And to compensate, they gave them like 200 Atom points, which is like the in-game currency for the microtransactions.
That would piss me off.
Which was valued at like $5.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is your compensation? Like, I played it, I stopped playing it, I make no, I don't even know what the term would be, like, out in the open about it. I'm not going to be turning that game on again. I paid full price, I will not be playing. I'm not a fan of survival to begin with.
Yep.
There's no safe space in the game, like, all of the MMOs or MMO style or multiplayer type games have some type of hub where you can just like go through your inventory and not be disturbed by enemies or other players. Like that doesn't exist. I get it because it's the survival aspect of it all.
But still.
And the developing your character's skills, you have to open up like card packs and like the pack o cards.
Yeah, nothing
unquote.
about this sounds entertaining.
Yeah, right? Like, you get 5 or so different, like, cards, and each card is a different, like, perk that you can apply to your character, but you're limited to whatever comes in that little card pack. So, if you want to play, like, a sniper build, well, hope you get sniper-esque cards.
Okay.
Otherwise, you're going to be a healer, or you're going to be melee-based, because those are the cards that you get.
That's nonsense.
Yeah, so with all of this, you know, I don't know what the player base has been doing. I know people are still playing it. If you enjoy it, you rock out with your bad self.
Yeah.
That's what gaming is about. Enjoying the worlds that you inhabit.
Not every game is for every person.
Very, very true. What was it? Death Stranding recently just got like a 6.8 on IGN.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I'm still intrigued. I'm still interested because when games are at that like 7 or 8 level, to me that sometimes indicates that they're a bit on the niche.
NPR didn't have a great review of it either.
Oh boy.
But I haven't played it yet, and I'm not trying to badmouth it, but I've never been so sick of a game before it even came out. Of at least hearing about it.
Division for me. My God, I heard about Division so much before the game came out. And
to the point where I had no interest in even trying to play.
But it's so weird. Anyway, point being that it might be very niche, or it might like scratch a very particular itch, or it might just be a very particular style game that's not going to have any type of mass appeal.
Yeah.
So I'm still kind of holding out hope for it. But as far as Dave's question goes, and another reason why this question comes up, man, we are going on all sorts of tangents.
Hey, man.
Recently, Obsidian released Outer Worlds.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Okay, so you've been hearing about that game.
Heard about it, I don't know much about it.
Okay, it's basically the Fallout game that everybody wanted in the first place.
Oh, all right.
Except it takes place in space, and it's got some other like space alien aspects to it all. But Obsidian
I'm more intrigued, yeah.
Yeah, Obsidian basically said, all right, screw you guys, we're going to make the game that people actually want to play. And people are like, this is going to be an instant classic. Like,
Good for them.
Yeah, this is a great game. I've heard no bad things about it so far. So, Obsidian, you know, if you want to work on another Bethesda game, rock out. But if this is like your statement of we're going to produce our own game, and this is the quality that you guys come out with, hey, you know?
We don't know what kind of issues go on behind the snes, so
Yeah, there's definitely business type of issues, especially with the larger game studios where it's not just that they have to make money, they need to make like margin. They need to make a profit margin much higher than your standard sales.
I mean, a lot of games you got to make hundreds of millions of dollars to even get profits from anymore.
Right. Which is why, and I would love to be on like a panel at a con for microtransactions, because personally I love microtransactions. I never purchase them, but I think they're fantastic because give me all the cosmetic stuff you can dish out. Give me the fancy hats. Give me the glowy skin. Give me the ornaments to put on my weapons.
Again, it doesn't
affect gameplay.
I mean, with the amount of work and just expansiveness that goes into a lot of these games now, keeping that $60 price point.
Oh, it's unrealistic.
It is. You got to find other ways.
Right. So either subscription service, which some games can pull it off, some probably not. But if you're going to do that through microtransactions to get pretty hats or skins for your weapons, awesome. Do it. But Obsidian, if you guys can pull off this level of game by yourself,
I don't see a reason why they would need to go back.
Yeah, this is kind of a statement. This is kind of like making your stand type of thing. So, nah. You guys do you. Let Bethesda learn from their mistakes. And if they want to pursue the Fallout franchise anymore, give the fans what they want, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, Elder Scrolls 6, apparently still in development, right?
I hope. Who knows?
I haven't heard that it was canceled.
Still won't be out any for years.
Yeah. We'll see. Okay, so with that, we're going to move into the final 5 questions. These are the 5 questions. Yeah, and you know all about
As
this.
I'm rubbing my hands. All right.
Final 5 questions that range from irrelevant to irreverent. The first 2 are always the same. The last 3 have a theme. Here we go. So, first question, coffee or tea?
Coffee, sir.
And?
With a little cream and sugar, usually.
Just a little bit?
Yeah, just a little cream and sugar. I mean...
Just to take the edge off?
Yeah, just take the edge off. I don't have a problem with, some flavored creamers every once in a while, like French vanilla or hazelnut or something.
Just to mix it up a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like to just, mix it up a little bit. If there are points where I've needed coffee bad enough where if there's nothing to put in it, I can drink it black fine.
Yeah.
But in general,
some coffee.
In general, I prefer a little cream and sugar.
Okay. So, we know you play video games, but do you play any tabletop games?
No, but I kind of wish I got into it more. Would get into it more, at least.
Well, and I've said this to a couple other coworkers of ours, and I think I've tried to bring you onto a game night or two.
Yeah.
I'll get you over one of these nights. We'll figure something out. Well, the dogs are easy to deal with. It's the kiddos now that are the big pain.
Something I definitely want to try to get into more, or at least start getting into more, outside of Monopoly level.
Oh, yeah. I can show you things. So, we'll talk about that later.
All right.
So, and the last 3. So, your last name be Osborne. So, these will all be involved with the song titles from the famed musician Ozzy Osbourne.
Okay, so that's where we're going with this. All right.
But as always, these are all super open-ended questions. So, in the theme of the song Crazy Train...
I like it.
What's the farthest distance you ever traveled by train?
By train?
Yeah.
From New York to South Carolina on a train.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I was all prepared for just like Albany to New York City.
Nope.
But you went to South Carolina?
I'm from the area here, moved to South Carolina right before I turned 15.
Okay.
My dad had already been down there because he had to start his job. So my mom and I took the train down a couple weeks later. And I don't remember how long it was. It was a long
Yeah, that's a
ride.
long one.
But, yeah.
South Carolina? Okay.
I do enjoy the train ride from Albany to the city, though.
I usually go from Poughkeepsie.
Oh, really? I just started going from Rensselaer.
Yeah, it splits it up, like, right in the middle. But
I thought about that, but I don't want to get off the train and then have to drive an hour. So.
True. Yeah, I gotcha.
Just take it the whole way.
Gotcha.
Very scenic. I like it.
It is. It's quite scenic,
it
actually.
Is.
If you go up north, they have, like... I think that's like glass ceiling so you can look at the Adirondacks and the changing leaves. It's really nice. So next question. In light of Paranoid, what's the creepiest thing that's ever shown up on your Twitter or Facebook feed after you've casually mentioned it?
Oh, God. I was just having a conversation with our buddy Mike Townsend at work, who is my guest on the Michigan Man episode I have.
Okay.
I don't know. This is creepy because we started joking about White Claw, a alcoholic hard seltzer.
Yes.
which I think he has a secret obsession with.
Oh, does
but
he?
won't admit it.
Okay, we'll get into that.
I've never had
I'll have to look into that. All right.
You know, there's... at some point over the summer, it just became super popular for some reason.
It's another Alka-Pop, basically. Yeah, it's the new Smirnoff, it's the new Zima, whatever. Okay, pass.
But it was like the drink for the term white girl wasted.
Yep.
We were joking about that as I recorded, and then, of course, joked about it in person for a couple of days. And then literally ads for White Claw started showing up.
Oh, man.
In like my Twitter or Facebook feed. I'm like, I haven't even posted anything about White Claw.
And you didn't like search for it at all?
No.
It was just straight from your microphone.
Yeah. Ooh. I don't know. Like, I mean, I wasn't recording live. Mm-hmm. I edit the episode and upload it.
Sure.
I'm trying to think. There was one point. I mean, I texted him a couple jokes about it. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to, because my brain started hurting. Like,
where did this come from?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't want advertisements for White Claw filling up.
We're going to cancel these ads out real quick.
To their credit, I kind of want to try one now just to know what I'm insulting.
You want to know your enemy?
Yeah. It's like, you got to know the worst to really be able to judge the best.
Okay. I'm going to let that slide. I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah, but that was super creepy.
Yeah, that is
It's not
creepy.
even like I was posting anything about White Claws or talking about them online or anything. So,
all right.
That was weird.
Final question.
I didn't expect that.
No, not really, but that's why we got these questions, right? So, final question. In the vein of Iron Man, which was your favorite Iron Man movie?
I think you got to go with the first one, right?
That's what I would probably go with.
I would say they
just started off,
progressively worse.
You know,
the Iron Man movies specifically.
Yes.
But, I mean, I still enjoyed them all.
Oh, sure.
I've always been a big Marvel fan. I think the movies are fantastic. But I also think you have to suspend reality.
Well, you always have to.
And not take the comics so seriously that you can't enjoy the movie.
Well, they're taking decades of content and cramming them into...
Yeah, I know, really. You're not going to be able to please everyone. Just enjoy it for the entertainment experience it is.
You know, and I've talked to people about this both on and off this show where I'm not going to start reading Captain America because I don't have time to make up 50 years worth of content. I'm not going to start reading Superman or Batman or any of the Avengers because I don't... there's no way... anything that I read, I'll just be able to, relate what I saw in the movies into the books. I'll be going backwards type of thing.
And the only thing I do is when they mention a character or I read about characters they're going to incorporate in, upcoming movies and storylines. If I don't know who it is, I just look up who the character is.
Right.
And what a little bit on their background. Right. That's about it.
While I was watching the Netflix series, the Marvel series on Netflix, someone would have, a named character would come up. I'm like, okay, you're important. So, Marvel, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's who he is.
I just look up a little backstory quick. Right. I don't need his entire story arc for the last decade.
Right. Yeah, and it was kind of surprising where there were some named characters in the Marvel series that they seemed kind of, side or support, but just on a whim, let's see what... Oh, I guess they're actually a major player in the Marvel universe. Okay, cool.
But I think Marvel does a great job with their storytelling in general. Mm-hmm. But I think as the Iron Man movies went on, those kind of got progressively worse.
It happened.
I still enjoyed Robert Downey Jr., though.
Absolutely. Okay. And that is all the time we have for this episode. Roll the standard end of show plugs. You can find the show notes, which contain contact links for all topics discussed for this and all previous episodes on videogamecrosstalk.com, as well as all the social media contacts and occasional blog posts. Or you can follow me around on Twitter, Instagram, PS4, and Twitch at Hypersyntax, HYP3RSINT4X. As for my guest, Chris, where can our beautiful listeners follow you around?
Ooh, I'm glad you asked, friend. You can find Stories from a Bar on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, the main players. Mm-hmm. The episodes are, of course, up on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, Podbean. Again, more the major players. Same place you'd find...
Yeah, pretty much all the same places, yep.
And Stories Fab, F-A-B on Twitter and Instagram if you're looking for that. But be sure to follow the show and check it out. I'd greatly appreciate it.
Absolutely. Okay. Please don't forget to like, review, subscribe, and share this podcast all over your social media accounts, and we can be found, again, on all the podcast platforms.
Yes, sir.
The podcast audio gets pushed out to YouTube, and I've tried to start some other Destiny lore videos. Fortunately, life gets in the way as it does with all things.
Nerd.
Yeah. Yes, I am trying to get it pushed out. But yeah, we have a YouTube channel, so check that out as well. Thank you all for listening, and thank you, Chris, for joining me.
Hey, man, my pleasure. It's always fun to get together.
And I'm going to have to see if I can use this room more often.
Yeah, this was a pretty good experience. A shout out to the Bethlehem Public Library.
Yeah, I'll definitely tag them up in the post for this. And in the words of Neil Gaiman, things need not have happened to be true. Tales and dreams are the shadow truths that will endure when mere facts are dust and ashes and forgot. Segment of this, we got some questions coming up, and I was able to get... Hold on, I have to look it up on my phone. Hold, please.
This is where the magic of editing will come into play.
That's right. Well, I mean, I'll only take out a little bit of it, but hold on. Get into it. Come on! Do I need to go on my other account? See the updates? There it is. Okay.
All right.